Hare Krishna devotees, continuing with our Srimad Bhagavatam Stuti series of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Today's shloka number is shloka 20 of chapter 4, canto number 2. Shriyaf patir yajnapatif prajapatih
श्रेयः पतिर्यज्ञपतिः प्रजापतिः
Dhyam patir lokapatir dharapatih
धियां पतिर्लोकपतिर्धरापतिः
Patir gatischandhaka vrishni satvatam
पतिर्गतिश्चान्धकवृष्णिसात्वताम्
Prasidatam me bhagavan satam patih.
प्रसीदतां मे भगवान् सतां पतिः.
Word for word meaning, translation, purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shriyaha,
श्रियः
all opulence,
all opulence,
patihi,
patihi,
the owner,
the owner,
yajna,
yajna,
of sacrifice,
of sacrifice,
patihi,
patihi,
the director,
the director,
prajapatihi,
prajapatihi,
the leader of all living entities,
the leader of all living entities,
dhyam,
dhyam,
of intelligence,
of intelligence,
patihi,
patihi,
the master,
the master,
lokapatihi,
lokapatihi,
the proprietor of all planets,
the proprietor of all planets,
dhara,
dhara,
earth,
earth,
patihi,
patihi,
the supreme,
the supreme,
patihi,
patihi,
head,
head,
gatihi,
gatihi,
destination,
destination,
cha,
cha,
also, andhaka,
andhaka,
one of the kings of the Yadu dynasty,
one of the kings of the Yadu dynasty,
Vrishni,
Vrishni,
the first king of the Yadu dynasty,
the first king of the Yadu dynasty,
Satvatam,
Satvatam,
the Yadus,
the Yadus,
Prasidatam,
Prasidatam,
be merciful,
be merciful,
may,
upon
me,
Bhagavan,
Lord Shri Krishna,
Lord Sri Krishna,
Satam,
Satam,
of all devotees,
of all devotees,
Patihi,
Patihi,
the Lord. Translation. May Lord Shri Krishna,
May Lord Sri Krishna,
who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees,
who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees,
the protector
and
glory
glory
of all the kings like Andhaka
of all the kings like Andhaka
and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty,
and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty,
the husband of all goddesses of fortune,
the husband of all goddesses of fortune,
the director of all sacrifices,
the director of all sacrifices,
and therefore the leader of all living entities,
and therefore the leader of all living
the
entities,
controller of all intelligence,
the controller of all intelligence,
the proprietor of all planets,
the proprietor of all planets,
spiritual and material,
and
the supreme incarnation on the earth,
and the supreme incarnation on the earth,
the supreme all in all,
the supreme all in,
be merciful upon me.
be merciful upon me.
Prabhupada writes in the purport, since Shukadeva Goswami is one of the prominent Gata Vyalikas who are freed from all misconceptions, he therefore expresses his own realized perception of Lord Shri Krishna as being the sum total of all perfection, the personality of Godhead. Everyone is seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune. But people do not know that Lord Shri Krishna is the beloved husband of all goddesses of fortune. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord, in his transcendental abode Goloka Vrindavana, is accustomed to herding the Surabhi cows and is served there by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune. All these goddesses of fortune are manifestations of his transcendental pleasure potency, Hladini Shakti, in his internal energy. And when the Lord manifested himself on this earth, he partially displayed the activities of his pleasure potency in his Rasa Leela just to attract the conditioned souls, who are all after the phantasmagoria pleasure potency in degraded sex enjoyment. So what Prabhupada is explaining here is that the Lord is served by millions and millions and millions of Lakshmis in Goloka Vrindavan. And all of these Lakshmis are actually expansions of Srimati Radharani herself. And Srimati Radharani is the Hladini Shakti potency of Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada is also explaining that when the Lord comes down here into the material world to play out his activities and his pastime, including his pastime of the Rasa Leela. The Rasa Leela is performed to attract the attention of the conditioned souls. But then the conditioned souls are interested in something else. They are not interested in the Lord. They are interested in, Prabhupada saying, just mundane sex enjoyment. However, Prabhupada continues, the pure devotees of the Lord, like Shukadev Goswami, who was completely detached from the abominable sex life of the material world, discuss this act of the Lord's pleasure potency, certainly not in relation to sex, but to relish a transcendental taste, inconceivable to the mundaners who are after sex life. Sex life in the mundane world is the root cause of being conditioned by the shackles of illusion. And certainly, Shukadev Goswami was never interested in the sex life of the mundane world. If you read the earlier canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will come to the understanding that Srila Shukadev Goswami, as he came out of the womb of his mother, he immediately left the householder life and went off into the forest. So certainly Shukadev Goswami is unique in that he was never interested in family life or anything else. He was just absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Nor does the manifestation of the Lord's pleasure potency have any connection with such degraded things. So although we may understand that the word Haladini Shakti means it's the pleasure potency of the Lord, we should not misunderstand that this pleasure potency of the Lord is like the mundane pleasure that we chase after in this material world. The pleasure potency of the Lord, Hladini Shakti, is there just to please the Lord by serving him. So this cannot be construed as mundane sexual enjoyment whatsoever. However, when we read some of these purports, we may think, what is this pleasure potency? Is this the same as what's going on here in this material world? Is the same thing happening in the spiritual world also? Then what's the difference between the spiritual world and the material world? But the Lord's pleasure potency has nothing to do with our degraded attraction to things of this material world. Lord Chaitanya was a strict sannyasi, so much so that he did not allow any woman to come near him, not even to bow down and offer respects. He never even heard the prayers of the Devadasis offered in the temple of Jagannatha because a sannyasi is forbidden to hear songs sung by the fair sex. Yet, even in the rigid position of a sannyasi, he recommended the mode of worship preferred by the gopis of Vrindavana as the topmost loving service possible to be rendered to the Lord. And Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all such goddesses of fortune, and therefore she is the pleasure counterpart of the Lord and is non-different from Krishna. So this is also something that we may have a hard time understanding. There is no difference between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. They are actually one and the same. But when they separate into two, then the Lord becomes Shakti and Srimati Radharani becomes the the Lord becomes Shaktiman and Srimati Radharani becomes the Shakti potency of the Lord. But otherwise, there is no difference between the two of them. In the Vedic rituals, there are recommendations for performing different types of sacrifice in order to achieve the greatest benefit in life. Such benedictions as the results of performing great sacrifices are, after all, favors given by the goddess of fortune. And the Lord, being the husband or lover of the goddess of fortune, is factually the Lord of all sacrifices also. So whenever we are worshipping for material benefits, those benefits are bestowed on you by Lakshmi Devi herself. But ultimately, the sacrifices that you're performing, the austerities that you're observing, is being enjoyed by the Lord because he is called Yajna Purusha. He is the Lord of all sacrifices. So Prabhupada writes, he is the final enjoyer of all kinds of yajna. Therefore, Yajnapati is another name of Lord Vishnu. It is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that everything be done for the Yajnapati, Yajnarthat Karmanah. This comes in the 4th chapter. For otherwise, one's acts will be the cause of conditioning by the law of material nature. Those who are not freed from all misconceptions, Vyalikam, perform sacrifices to please the minor demigods. But the devotees of the Lord know very well that Lord Shri Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all performances of sacrifice. Therefore, they perform the Sankirtana Yajna, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, which is especially recommended in this age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, performance of other types of sacrifice is not feasible due to insufficient arrangements and inexpert priesthood. So actually, fire sacrifices and other kinds of sacrifices are not recommended in Kali Yuga because you don't have the pure brahmanas and you also don't have pure materials to offer into the fire. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, the only yajna you need to do is the Sankirtana yajna. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Shravanam, hearing. Kirtanam, glorifying the Lord. We have information from the Bhagavad Gita that Lord Brahma, after giving rebirth to the conditioned souls within the universe, instructed them to perform sacrifices and to lead a prosperous life. With such sacrificial performances, the conditioned souls will never be in difficulty in keeping body and soul together. So actually the reason that is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as to why we have to perform sacrifices is to make sure that there is an absolute symbiotic way of functioning, not just between yourself and your family members, but also larger society and in fact the entire universe itself. So sacrifices are ultimately meant for keeping everything in sync. Ultimately, they can purify their existence. They will find natural promotion into spiritual existence, the real identity of the living being. A conditioned soul should never give up the practice of sacrifice, charity, and austerity in any circumstances. Again, this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord himself. No matter which varna, which ashrama, which stage of life you're in, all of us must perform yajna, dana, and tapaha. These 3 things, none of us should give up. The aim of all such sacrifices is to please the Yajnapati, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord is also Prajapati. According to the Katha Upanishad, the one Lord is the leader of the innumerable living entities. The living entities are maintained by the Lord. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. The Lord is therefore called the supreme Bhutabhrit, or the maintainer of all living beings. Living beings are proportionately endowed with intelligence in terms of their previous activities. All living beings are not equally endowed with the same quality of intelligence because behind such development of intelligence is the control of the Lord, as declared in the Bhagavad Gita, Shloka 15.15. As Paramatma, Super Soul, the Lord is living in everyone's heart, and from him only does one's power of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness follow. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. One person can sharply remember past activities by the grace of the Lord, while others cannot. One is highly intelligent by the grace of the Lord, and one is a fool by the same control. Therefore, the Lord is Dhyampati, or the Lord of intelligence. The conditioned souls strive to become lords of the material world. Everyone is trying to lord it over the material nature by applying his highest degree of intelligence. This misuse of intelligence by the conditioned soul is called madness. So when Duryodhana and Arjuna went to meet Krishna before the war, Duryodhana considered himself to be very intelligent because he selected the Narayani Sena. But actually, the real intelligence was with Arjuna because he just selected the Lord. So we don't need the Shakti potency of the Lord other than to help us to serve him only. But if you chase the Shakti potency of the Lord but do not want the Lord himself, then ultimately that Shakti potency itself will be the cause of our destruction. Prabhupada always says, Ravana wanted Sita Devi but did not want Lord Ram. Therefore, it led to his destruction. So similarly, even for Jivatmas, when we chase the Shakti potency of the Lord, which is like all of this wealth, all success, all good things that you want in your life. But if you don't want the Lord himself, then it will lead to your ultimate destruction. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, when we misuse our intelligence, this is called madness. One's full intelligence should be applied to get free from the material clutches. But the conditioned soul, due to madness only, engages his full energy and intelligence in sense gratification. And to achieve this end of life, he willfully commits all sorts of misdeeds. The result is that instead of attaining an unconditional life of full freedom, the mad conditioned soul is entangled again and again in different types of bondage in material bodies. Actually, right before the class, I was listening to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Maharaj's class on this particular shloka. And there is one sentence that Maharaj mentioned, which really appealed to me. He said in the Bhagavad Gita, when the Lord asks Arjuna, is all your illusion dissipated now? And Arjuna says, yes, all my illusion is gone. Then Krishna says, okay, now you can do whatever you want. So if your illusion is destroyed, then you have your full freedom to do what you choose. And of course, as a devotee, you will always make the right decision. So what is the decision Arjuna makes? Arjuna says, yes, I will follow your instructions. That is the highest form of intelligence, is to tell the Lord, I will follow your instructions. But in order to follow the Lord's instructions, your illusion has to be destroyed. So it's a very nice statement Maharaj made. I'm not able to repeat the powerful way in which Maharaj made that statement, but it just hit me. Krishna asks, is your illusion gone? Arjuna says yes. And then Krishna says, okay, now you can do what you want. Which means Krishna trusted Arjuna to make the right decision. So everything we see in the material manifestation is but the creation of the Lord. Therefore, he is the real proprietor of everything in the universes. The conditioned soul can enjoy a fragment of this material creation under the control of the Lord, but not self-sufficiently, which means you cannot endlessly chase things in this material world. Whatever is designated for you by the Lord, you will get anyway, Prabhupada says. You don't have to strive and work very hard. That is the instruction in the Ishopanishad. That is, everybody is given a quota, Ishopanishad says. You make use of that quota. It's not that you don't have access to your father's property. You can use your father's property. But you should not use your father's property in such a way that you deprive others of their father's property. This is the instruction in the Ishopanishad. One should be satisfied with things awarded by the Lord of the universe. It is out of madness only that one tries to encroach upon another share of material possessions. The Lord of the universe, out of his causeless mercy upon the conditioned souls, descends by his own energy, Atma Maya, to re-establish the eternal relation of the conditioned souls with him. He instructs all to surrender unto him, instead of falsely claiming to be enjoyers for a certain limit under his control. When he so descends, he proves how much greater is his ability to enjoy, and he exhibits his power of enjoyment, for instance, marrying 16,000 wives at once. The conditioned soul is very proud of becoming the husband of even one wife. But the Lord laughs at this. The intelligent man can know who is the real husband. Factually, the Lord is the husband of all the women in his creation. But a conditioned soul under the control of the Lord feels proud to be the husband of one or two wives. All these qualifications as the different types of pati. So Prabhupada is in detail explaining all this Yajnapati, Prajapati, so that we understand why the Lord is called Pati. He is the ultimate owner. He owns all of us. All these qualifications as the different types of Pati mentioned in this verse are meant for Lord Shri Krishna. And Shukadev Goswami has therefore especially mentioned the Pati and Gati of the Yadu dynasty. The members of the Yadu dynasty knew that Lord Shri Krishna is everything. And all of them intended to return to Lord Krishna after he had finished his transcendental pastimes on the earth. Yet the Yadu dynasty was annihilated by the will of the Lord because its members had to return home with the Lord. The annihilation of the Yadu dynasty was a material show created by the Supreme. Otherwise, the Lord and the members of the Yadu dynasty are all eternal associates. The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, Shukadev Goswami offered him due respects with love-laden feelings. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami, in this particular shloka, is glorifying the Lord as the owners of different aspects of different jivatmas, including the Yadu dynasty. So he is glorifying the Lord as Patihi. He is the owner, he is the director, he is the leader, he is the master. This is the essence of this 20th shloka.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.